Hola, mi gente. In this Thursday's episode, I wanted to answer a comment that I got yesterday. It was on a short where somebody that I don't know, somebody who doesn't listen to me, who doesn't listen to the podcast, basically felt that it was his right to make what I would call an ignorant comment. But when I say that, I'm being polite. So this guy, who's on YouTube, he's not, he's not just a troll. It's probably just somebody who just sees a black woman who's able to do a podcast, who says that she's disabled, who is choosing to tell her story, and who's trying to be razor sharp focused on telling a story to make you guys interested. And this guy just says, because he's uncomfortable with it, he gets on his nerves basically, and he says to me, how is wallowing in self-pity working for you? And I thought about that word, miente, self-pity. Self-pity. This guy takes the time and just makes a comment, wallowing, self-pity. He feels like he's authorized to do that. He can do that. And I answered him, I wish you would just tell me more about why you feel that you can make that comment. Talking to you about comments such as the one that I got yesterday gives me the opportunity, Miante, to talk to you about expectations and to basically make sure that when you watch the shorts, when you listen to me, you are able to look at things with the right perspective. So expectations are key. Expectations. One of the rare things that I liked about George W. Bush was his slogan when he ran for the first time in 2000 for the 2000 U.S. presidential election. He had this slogan. He had everything to do with minorities in America. The soft bigotry of low expectations. The soft bigotry of low expectations. Charles Dickens had a great book, Great Expectations. Great book. And George W. Bush to basically address that idea that our Republicans, the GOP, was a white party. He came up with this concept saying, no, we're going to talk about things that show that we don't have low expectations when it comes to minorities. So, Miente here, for me, as a disabled, physically challenged black woman who was born in Cameroon in an environment where disability is looked at with fear, disgust, all types of apprehensions. The question was always low expectations. Because when you are a disabled person in that type of environment, even when it's a well-to-do environment, there is low expectations. You are expected to just disappear and to accept that your disability is your destiny. Disability is destiny. In the environment where I was born in Cameroon, disability is destiny. So low expectation. The bigotry concerning disability in the environment in Cameroon when I was born is not soft, it's hard. Disability is destiny. Even when it's a well-to-do environment, you are expected as a physically challenged woman to disappear. Don't make any noise, to not bother anybody, to feel lucky that they're gonna give you food, they're gonna put you in a comfortable place, and you just sit there and you become part of the furniture. You shut up, you listen to others, and accept that your disability is your destiny. What can others do? God decided that you were the one who was supposed to be disabled, the one thing that you have to do is to accept it. The one thing that you have to do, your job, your duty to your family and to the society, the community, is to accept that your disability is your destiny. There's nothing that people can do, especially when there's nothing that can make your disability disappear. So disability is destiny. The bigotry is not soft and it's hard. And the expectation are just or low as they can be. Sure, to the contrary to the people who are born in very, very poor, within poor families in Cameroon and in Africa, you get to go to school. But you can't expect more than that. You have to accept that people are in front of you. It's the same thing, when Africans talk about elders or certain roles. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Your disability is your destiny. Miente, the trouble is that I refused to accept the hard bigotry of low expectations that come with disability in many African countries. I refused to take it. I won't say that it was because I have a strong personality, but since I was a child, I refused to just put myself in the corner and accept that disability was my destiny. That because I couldn't walk, because I had a deformed leg, that it meant that I couldn't even be a part of the race for whatever it was. Wealthy dad, billionaire dad, many kids. And Miente, I don't know why. Maybe it's because my dad gave me the name of his mother, and because I sensed that he loved me, that he never really believed in all the stigma, in all the things that come with disability, witchcraft, curses, whatever. He never really believed in that. And maybe that's the reason why I refused to sit in the back of the bus. I just refused it. And I said to myself, okay, we're gonna make this a race about merit. I'm just gonna be as bright as I can be and compete. Expectations. The problem for me, Miante, because I leave Cameroon at 14, and the low expectations that are within many Cameroonian societies, African societies, follow me in America, where the expectations are not low, but they are unrealistic. They're not great, but they are unrealistic. You are not treated as all disabled people. You are different. No, 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 no. Legally, they're going to do the job, but you have to fight for that. You have to fight for that. And the expectations are always unrealistic. They're not great. They are just over the top. You can't have more problems than other disabled folks in America. You can't. No, it's the truth even in Europe. It's the truth in Belgium. It's the truth in France. You can't. You can't, especially when you come from a wealthy African family. You can't. People start with the expectations that anything that you do where you're not tough, you're not taking it, you're wallowing in self-pity, as that fool wrote to me yesterday. People are able to start by talking about self-pity, giving you advice on how to do you. They don't know how it is to live with a disability. My first year in the US, my math teacher, my geometry teacher, she said to me, "Yo, you're very lucky because instead of having two legs, you have four." I was walking with crutches. So my geometry teacher at the master school said to me, "You're very, very lucky. You don't just have two legs, you have four." So in Cameroon, low expectation. The bigotry wasn't soft, but it was hard. When you come to America, the expectations are unrealistic. They're over the top. They're not just great. People expect you to just be Wonder Woman, not to complain, never to be disagreeable. You have to be nice. You have to be very, very soft. You have to be friendly. You can't make people uncomfortable. No matter how difficult it is for you to deal with your disability, the heaviness, the burden of your story. People never, ever, ever want you to just keep harping, keep saying, this is incredibly tough. People want you to be positive, to be cheerful, to be optimistic, and never to just say, no, this isn't fair. And to point the finger at the system and to say, this isn't fair. When you're doing that, you're wallowing in self-pity. It doesn't matter whether they know the details, whether they know the story. They feel like they don't even have to know your story. They see a black woman who's saying, I'm giving that up. And people say, self-pity. Expectations, miente. Expectations. It follows you around. It follows you. You can't have trouble with anything. You can't ask people to try to put themselves in your shoes because they don't want to, because they know that it's more than likely uncomfortable, it's unsavory, it's very, very tough. But yet, they are going to use all types of gimmicks to avoid changing positions and look at things from your point of view. They never want to do that. 2 years ago, I wrote a letter to the president of the DC bar, of the Washington DC bar, basically talking about all of this, talking about what was happening, and um, asking for the Washington DC bar. I've been a member of the Washington DC bar since 2003. So 20 years in 2023, 20 years in 2023. And I was basically saying, I need the DC bar, the Washington DC bar to help with what is happening with the Brussels bar, to just simply help. And they avoided the issue. You know how you know when you're in my shoes that people are avoiding the issue? By what they don't want to know, by how hard they fight so they don't have to know anything. They don't want to know the details. They don't ask questions. They do the best that they can to basically, you know, avoid the issue and point to the rules. They don't even want to go there asking themselves, Is it one of those rare cases where we need to bend a little and see what is happening there? I haven't been able so far to make anybody from the DC bar, anybody even wonder, is Nadia Fotso, lawyer, member of the DC bar since 2003, writer, is she just wallowing in self-pity? Or is there something greater here? Is there something that is happening that she may not be able to say because it's comfortable, because she has no distance, because she is within it? What is happening here? Miente, expectations. As I said, Miente, everybody feels entitled to give me advice about how to live my life. Everybody. Africans, whoever. No, everybody feels like they know better. They can tell me how to live my life. They don't even need to know the details. They don't even need to know the details, Miente. They don't. They just know better. Just see a black woman there talking about something that's tragic, saying, this needs to be addressed. And fools wallowing in self-pity. How's that working for you? Basically saying, I can live your life better than you. He can do me better than I can. Self-pity. That's all he cares about. The right to be ignorant, the right to be patronizing. Because that's what most people are, Miente. But when they do that, they don't know shit. They don't even know who I am. Miente, my name is Christelle Nadia Fotso. I'm a lawyer. I got my JD from American University. I got a master's in I got a master's in international relations from American University. I had a bachelor of arts from UNCC, the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, in philosophy and political science, with a minor in economics. I graduated from Northfield Mount Hermon, a prep school in Massachusetts. I've worked for the UN. I've written 5 books. That's who I am. I am also the daughter of Fotso Victor, an African legend, who was just savagely expropriated. That was cut in the middle because as his physically challenged daughter, a lawyer, an American trained lawyer, I decided to do my best, even though there was too many powerful people, not only in Cameroon, but in France, in Switzerland, who had their hands into his estate. So I became the sacrificial lamb. That's the story. There is an ongoing tragedy here. And that's the goal of this podcast. And it isn't easy to just tell you the story. I've been placed in a situation where all I have to avoid being crushed is to talk about it. To use my voice, my writing, the law, public opinion, to not just be crushed by people who have not just low expectations. That's just in Africa, the hard bigotry of low expectation. That's in Africa. But it follows me in the West, where people have unrealistic expectation, knowing full well that given the low expectations, that Cameroonians, Africans have, it's going to be very, very hard for me to get justice. Hard. They think it's going to be impossible. But me and they, because I refuse to believe that my disability, the fact that I was physically challenged, was my destiny. I refuse to give up. The law here is on my side. The law is on my side. What the DC bar, the Washington DC bar is doing isn't right. What the Brussels bar did isn't right. What France did isn't right. What Switzerland did isn't right. What Belgium did isn't right. What the United States of America did isn't right. And of course, what Cameroon, African countries did isn't right. I'm not taking it. I am not taking it. So this podcast in English, it's twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday. We are going to keep at it. The sole reason my story is possible is again because of the hard bigotry of low expectations, and because that hard bigotry leads to unrealistic expectations in the West, where I've lived since I was 14. People expect a physically challenged Black African woman to just be anything but stubborn, resilient, and saying, no, guys, I am not going to let you marginalize me and force me to basically take it. I'm not going to take it. Whether there is wallowing in self-pity, the law matters. Fotso matters. Disability matters. And when somebody has the guts, the courage to just decide, in spite of the danger, despite the dangers, despite, all those ignorant fools who are just able to make easy comments, not knowing shit, despite all the people who are just there because they want to patronize you. They're going to talk to you about your anger. They're going to make the problem you when they don't know shit. Because it's easy. And because it makes them able to just, patronize you and not have to listen to you. So be as a physically challenged Black African woman to get justice is exhausting. You have to survive. You have to find ways to basically keep at it. And people, when shit happens to you, they make it as tough as possible for you to get any type of justice. So, not asking for pity, not even asking for sympathy or compassion, but understanding if possible, and justice. All I'm saying here is no justice, no peace. So, Christelle Nadia Fotso, the podcast is in English twice a week, Tuesday and Friday. On reste ensemble, miente. Thank you, and subscribe.